Whether you're boarding a Royal Caribbean in Miami or a Norwegian cruise line vessel in New York, almost none of them were built in America. In fact, almost none of the world's big cruise ships are built in Asia either, despite Asia building the vast majority of the planet's cargo ships. Instead, nearly every large cruise ship on Earth is made in one of the handful of shipyards scattered across Europe. They built somewhere close to 90% of the global cruise ship order book by value, and not because it's cheap or the labor isn't expensive, but because building a cruise ship might be the one thing only a few yards on the planet have figured out how to do it profitably, on time, and at scale. So today, we're breaking down how Europe built this quiet monopoly, and we're going deep on three shipyards that make it happen. Fincantieri in Italy, the Meyer Group split between Germany and Finland, and Chantiers de l'Atlantique in France. To understand why Europe owns this industry, you actually have to look at where it lost, not where it won. Starting in the 1970s and accelerating through the 2000s, South Korea, Japan, and later China took over almost the entire global market for cargo ships, and European shipyards couldn't compete on that game, so many of them didn't even try. Instead, they specialized in the one category Asian yards kept failing at, that is, passenger ships. And cruise ships are a completely different ship from a cargo vessel. A large container ship might have a few dozen crew cabins and empty cargo holds, but a modern cruise ship has many individually decorated cabins, dozens of restaurants, theaters, water parks, and casinos, all of which are squeezed into a hull that also has to survive open ocean. Roughly 70% of the total build cost of a cruise ship goes into outfitting and interiors, not the steel hull itself. That makes cruise building extraordinarily labor-intensive, and it rewards decades of specialized workforce experience over cheap steel cutting capacity. Asia actually tried to break into this market more than once, and the attempts are almost a cautionary tale. For example, Mitsubishi Heavy Industries took an order in 2011 to build two large cruise ships for Carnival's German brand, AIDA. The project went into massive delays, onboard fires during construction, and reported cost overruns north of $2 billion combined. By 2016, Mitsubishi effectively abandoned large cruise shipbuilding. Then, China's state shipbuilder CSSC has since entered the game with its own domestically built cruise ship for the Chinese market, and it's investing heavily to grow that capability. But as of now, it remains a minor player next to the European yards. Let's start with the biggest player on the board. Fincantieri, headquartered in Trieste, Italy, and majority owned by the Italian state. Fincantieri isn't one shipyard. It operates across roughly 8 yards in Italy alone, plus facilities in the US and Vietnam, and it's genuinely the largest cruise ship builder in the world by volume. The scale of its order book is almost hard to process. As of mid-2026, Fincantieri's total backlog sits at roughly 74 billion euros. That's over 8 times its annual revenue, with delivery visibility stretching all the way out to 2039. That backlog includes 92 ships on order, 35 of them cruise ships, for clients like Royal Caribbean, Norwegian Cruise Line, Viking, Princess Cruises, and Carnival's various European brands. In just the first half of 2026 alone, Fincantieri delivered 5 cruise ships and signed new contracts worth over 11 billion euros, already blowing past its full-year target. Economically, cruise is now the company's core growth engine. In the first half of 2026, cruise revenue hit roughly 2.4 billion euros, up double digits year over year, and it consistently posts stronger margins than the group's defense and naval segments. That's a noticeable shift, because Fincantieri also builds warships and submarines for NATO navies. Cruise liners essentially subsidize and stabilize that side of the business with steady, high-value civilian cash flow. Logistically, Fincantieri's advantage is its network. Because it runs multiple yards, it can run several megaships through construction simultaneously, moving specialized components and workforce teams between sites depending on where capacity is tightest. It also increasingly signs deals a decade or more in advance. The Princess Cruises order signed in 2026, for instance, covers ships delivering as late as 2039. Which lets the company lock in steel, engine, and labor contracts years ahead of construction and smooth out the volatility that sank some of its Asian competitors. Next up is the Meyer Group, a family-controlled shipbuilding dynasty founded in Papenburg, Germany all the way back in 1795. Meyer is the German flagship yard, and its sister company, Meyer Turku, operates out of Turku, Finland, a shipbuilding site with roots going back to 1737. Together, plus a smaller river cruise yard in Rostock named Neptune Werft, they form the second largest cruise ship building group in the world, just behind Fincantieri. Meyer Turku alone controls somewhere between 15 and 17% of the global cruise ship building market, with a confirmed order book now extending into 2028. Its Turku shipyard can produce roughly 250,000 gross tons of shipping per year, built around a massive dry dock measuring 365 by 80 meters, serviced by some of the largest gantry cranes in Europe, one rated at 1,200 tons of lifting capacity. That's the kind of infrastructure needed to build ships like Royal Caribbean's Icon-class vessels, among the largest passenger ships ever constructed. The Meyer story is also a genuine turnaround tale, which makes it interesting from a business angle. Meyer Turku posted a loss of over 100 million euros in 2023, after pandemic-era supply chain chaos and the costs of building brand-new ship prototypes. The German parent, Meyer Werft, was in even worse shape. Its finances got so strained that the German federal government and the state of Lower Saxony stepped in and together took an 80% ownership stake to keep the shipyard solvent, leaving the Meyer family with a minority share. Since then, the group has stabilized. Meyer Turku swung back to profitability, delivered high-profile ships like Icon of Seas, Star of Seas, and rebuilt its order book. Meyer's logistics model leans on specialization rather than sheer size. It runs a dedicated cabin factory, a separate subsidiary purely for interior outfitting completion, and an in-house design and engineering arm, essentially vertically integrating the most labor-intensive parts of cruise construction rather than outsourcing them. That's part of why, despite its financial stumbles, it remains a preferred builder for Royal Caribbean, Carnival, and TUI cruises. The third major player is Chantiers de l'Atlantique, based in Saint-Nazaire on France's Atlantic coast, and it holds the title of Europe's single largest shipyard by physical footprint. Its main construction hall is among the largest enclosed buildings in the world by usable volume, which is exactly what you need when you're assembling ships the length of several football fields under one roof. Unlike Fincantieri and Meyer Group, Chantiers de l'Atlantique is majority owned by the French state, which holds roughly 84% of the company, with French Defense Group holding a further stake. The yard generates around 2.5 billion euros in annual revenue and employs close to 4,000 workers directly, with thousands more supported through its dense network of regional subcontractors. Shipbuilding here is one of the largest employers in the entire Nantes-Saint-Nazaire industrial region. Chantiers de l'Atlantique has built its modern reputation on two clients in particular, Royal Caribbean and MSC Cruises. It's the exclusive builder of MSC's world-class ships, vessels among the largest cruise ships ever constructed by gross tonnage, and it recently signed fresh agreements with Royal Caribbean for a new generation of ships called the Discovery class. Its order book for cruise construction currently runs full through 2028 and 2029. So when you put these three together, Fincantieri's 74 billion euro backlog, Meyer's century-old outfitting expertise rebuilt from a government bailout, and Chantiers de l'Atlantique's state-backed diversification, you start to see why this European monopoly has proven so hard to break. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.